Greetings. Delighted that you could be here to hear about our new work that we're doing to bring digital advisory boards right into the world. And you might ask, what is a digital advisory board? Well, you know what an advisory board is, right? Which is a group of people that you trust, that you want to bring to the table from time to time to advise you on things that you're doing inside your company with outside, advisors. We're doing the same thing in the digital era, and I'm delighted that Mac Turner and Patrick Gorman are here to help because we're going to talk about this. And we just recently announced a new partnership between Patrick's company, PersonaPanels, and Content Evolution, which is the organization that I founded and lead. And Mac is a great member of Content Evolution and is a board member of Choice Flows, which is also an integral component of the work that we're doing here. So, Patrick, since this is a new relationship with your company, what do you think? How's it going so far?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, one of the nice things, Kevin, obviously, is we can build on what you've done in your career with humans in advisory boards. So it's nice to be able to use the technology that we have at Persona Panels to model segments of the population that can be used as digital advisors with some phenomenal advantages. One of them is obviously that they're digital, so they're there all the time. The other advantage is that it's private. You're going to be able to interact with digital advisors on your own schedule in total privacy. And the idea is that you can test your ideas. You can come to understand how they're thinking before you do things with human beings, before you're actually in meetings that are very important to you.
That's
So
fantastic.
the essence of what we've developed is the ability to have conversations online and the ability to evaluate your ideas and get feedback. You can talk individually with groups of advisors or have them interact with each other. But we think it's an exciting way for people to really interact with people they're going to have a hard time getting access to. Let's face it, we're talking about people that would be very hard to get into a meeting. But here you'd have something that at your fingertips to basically guide you and give you some advice.
Yeah, that's great. And Mac, one of the things that we, started to explore both at Content Evolution and then more rigorously at Choice Flows as a voice of people research team is it's hard to get to some of the C-suite, thinking and, to some of the people, when you try to survey C-suite executives, and increasingly they're not making themselves available or they're delegating to other parts of their organization and you're not really hearing their voice per se. And we've constructed a way to actually get that sentiment, available to us to create, digital advisors to put into these digital advisory boards. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing to make that possible so you can, feed a point of view, kind of a composite point of view to persona panels so that they can make these perspectives come alive.
Kevin, that's exactly right. C-suite executives have become increasingly more difficult to reach through traditional market research surveying techniques.
Mhm.
Even doing one-on-one interviews are very challenging to set up and could take months to get on a C-suite executive's calendar. The large language models, though, contain interviews, profiles, articles written about, written for, and by those individuals. By looking at the training data sets within the large language models, the Safari tool that we've developed are able to identify very clear patterns in different executives' thought processes as far as how they approach major corporate decisions and how they would think about different challenges. We're not building clones. We're not trying to extract what a specific executive would say or think. We're looking at patterns among different C suite executives as far as how people like them would make critical decisions that we can leverage to help our clients make their own choices.
100%. And Safari is an acronym, Choice Flows AI Rapid Insights, and we can use that if we build a digital advisory board. We're doing this, by the way, by industry, economic sector, and profession, because those are the ways that people, understand inside of their own, language set and their own, particular things that they're interested in, that we construct something that's very useful, it's very focused, right? And it's in your, way of thinking and language set. So that's really good. And then we can take those constructs and give them to you, Patrick, and you can train your persona panel, constructs to be able to know what they're interested in, know what their preferences are, and read sources of information overnight every day so that you can, wake up the next morning and say, what's my digital advisory board telling me they're interested in, right? By these various perspectives, right?
Yeah, and Mac makes a great point traditionally. And I was an executive interviewer when I was in college, and those projects did take months because it was hard to get the meetings. They often got canceled. But one of the things I was thinking about as we were developing this new product is how time passes, right? We work in a world where things happen very fast now. So what we've built is constantly evolving, as you just mentioned, Kevin. Every single day, it's absorbing new content of what's going on in the real world. So if you were to do something traditionally, maybe if you got done in a month, some of the things we work on, it's like a lifetime. So much changes in the month that you'd have to worry about the early data, period. But so the ability to at any moment go in and look at this board and get advice from this board with the most current information, especially, I'll say it again, in changing markets, is essential. And I think it will increase the confidence of the people using the service, because that when you open up the computer to interact with it, that it's up to date, that it's not a week old, a month old, that it's what happened. And again, a lot of the work we're doing are in things that are changing rapidly around us, and a week can make a difference. So that's one of the real advantages to this, because I've been working with clients since 2017 with this technology. And when there's a crisis in their industry, they love what we deliver because it's up to date. It reflects what happened. It reflects the events. It reflects how people are responding to the events pretty much in real time. So that's a big difference than what we've done, my whole career.
Yeah, that is a real advantage. I'm going to reflect back on, as you mentioned, and I ran 18 of these membership organizations with several hundreds of people around the world for our best customers, industry analysts, and consultants. Sometimes what we call road warriors, right? That were early adopters of technology, running their small and medium-sized businesses, marketing, strategy, human factors. We had a lot of different lenses, right? That we would pull experts together. And I would take a subsection of our executive team and put them in a room with these, they become trusted advisors, because after you've met with them a number of times, you start to hear their voice and their perspective, and you say, I like what they're saying, I trust it. And we would show them under non-disclosure, here are our plans. A lot of this was for the early era of what people would know as the ThinkPad notebook computer era, when running a computer on batteries was a new, phenomenon. And we were figuring out how to put the parts together reliably, and what combinations of technologies were going to excite the marketplace. We would show them those plans, and they say, that one's great, I love that. Oh, that one's a dog. All right, I don't think anybody's going to want that. And this team that would be wrestling with product decisions and development decisions over months would get together, right, at dinner and say, you know what, that thing they don't like, let's take it off the roadmap, right? That thing that they like a lot, that machine type model, let's accelerate that program, let's put some more money, hey, we're going to get rid of this one, let's put that money over here. They would do something in 24 hours that would have taken months to decide to do. We think that these digital advisory boards that we're building will have a similar effect, right? That we can get decision making to advance faster. And as you pointed out, Patrick, sometimes, there's something happening, it's a crisis moment, and you'd like to consult with your advisors in private, right? Before you have to talk to the rest of the world. So we think that we have, a number of advantages, and that we're modeling this and framing it up in a way to really advance decisions in business and other types of organizations that is, both responsible, it's understandable, and, we're not just pairing you up with one, conversation. We're surrounding you with a dialogue, right, that will allow you to think differently and make a better decision as an executive.
Yeah, and I like to think of the things that you can do with digital advisors that you just can't do with human beings. Just to talk about one pretty straightforward one. In with our system, you're able to share ideas with digital advisors and get feedback from them. But you're able to set this up in a way where it's monadic, where each idea is new. So you could come to a conversation with 10 different ideas and expose the digital advisor to it and get a read on how well, what they think of it, one by one. Or you couldn't do that with a human being. I can't get you to do 10, 20 ideas and have it be fresh, because you're going to be biased by the other ones you've seen. Here it's completely monadic. So all of a sudden it's a chance to really refine what you're trying to communicate with that person. My idea here is at some point you're going to deal with these people as human beings, but imagine a world where you've tested 20 different ideas to find the 2 or 3 that seem to make sense, and then you refine them. That's just not something you can do with human beings, and you can do this very quickly. And that's something you can do with digital that it's very hard to do with human beings. The other thing that you can do with digital that's virtually impossible to do with human beings is figure out what drives their opinion. What is being communicated to them that they like the most. And you can drill down. Often a human being can't even tell you that. It gets all mixed up in your mind. But with a digital advisor, you can break an idea into parts and evaluate the individual parts and understand what's driving. So what do? You lead with it, right? You make that the important part of your message. It doesn't get buried in the 3rd paragraph, right?
Yeah.
If that's what's going to appeal to that kind of an advisor, that's what you're saying in the first 2 minutes of the meeting. And I think that's a big advantage of digital versus humans.
Mac?
One of the things, Patrick and Kevin, that I also think that this set of tools will enable people to do is improve their sales management and their relationship coverage ability. By using the digital advisors, a sales manager, a relationship manager should be able to say, well, what are the issues that this type of individual is facing that I can make sure I can cover with them when I meet with them? One of the frequent complaints that I see coming back from C-suite executives is that sales leadership can't develop rapport, and sales leadership doesn't know the industry. These tools will enable a sales leader to deeply understand the industry, the issues facing that industry, and how to approach different types of personalities sitting in C-suite roles so that they can better align their message, their appeal, and their approach to better serve and meet the needs of a particular type of client.
Yeah, I think what
couldn't agree
naturally
more.
happens when what you're talking about happens, Mac, is this person's more confident. I've trained a lot of salespeople, but if you walk into a sales meeting nervous because you're not really sure what kind of person you're talking to or what the message should be, versus walking and saying, you know what, I rehearsed this, I practiced this, I know what I need to say. I've managed enough people to see the difference and feel the difference, and they do too. And so does the person you're talking to, because you sound confident. You sound as if you've done your research. You sound as if you've thought about them and the issues that they face before you walked in the room. It's not that generic 5-minute spiel. It's something targeted to that type of person. And I think that's a huge advantage. I think walking in confidently makes a big, big difference in sales success.
Well,
That's been my experience.
what you just described is you're walking in to talk about what the client needs as opposed to what you have.
Right, exactly.
And
Yes.
if it turns out that you can, create, enough of a story about what the client's doing and that they can identify with it and they say, by the way, let me tell you something that we have, right?
Right.
And it fits into the
Mhm.
narrative of, what that organization needs, and it's on their terms. It's
Right.
for their industry and their context. That's a little bit more magical than, hey, I'm glad I'm here. Let me tell you what we got.
Right. Yeah, right. Thanks for making time for me,
Exactly.
right?
So I think that we did a good job of, setting the table for
Mhm.
people about why what we're doing is, perhaps different than what you've, seen in other descriptions and use cases for, leading edge, generative AI. Uh, we have, we're modeling it after something that we truly understand, right? Works behaviorally for people who are having to make, tough decisions, for their scarce resources. We're not modeling individuals, we're modeling perspectives that are coming from the industry sector or profession that they're part of. And yeah, as opposed to this being an intermittent, activity, it's available to you in the moment at, whenever you want it, and it's showing up on a daily basis. So we think you should want to learn more, right? For, whatever profession, sector, or industry you're part of. We're here. We're glad to share it with you. Uh, Closing comments, Mac.
I think that this is a great tool that will help senior leadership understand their markets, understand their clients, and build effective strategies. And as you said, Kevin, we'd love to discuss it with you.
Patrick, your
Yeah,
final thoughts?
looking forward to working with clients to get the most out of this. I'm looking forward to finding people that will embrace digital advisors and working with them to bring it into their environment so they get the most use out of it. I think it's going to be very valuable. And I think what we're going to find are some people will rely on this almost daily. It'll just be there at their fingertips. If they have a question, they'll get an answer.
Excellent. So, thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Mac, for making this new offering possible for the marketplace, this new capability to advance decisions. If people want to get in touch with you, Mac, how do they get in touch with you?
I am available at maclturner10@gmail.com or mac at mltinsights.com.
Right. And Patrick, how do they get in touch with you at
I'm
Persona
I'm
Panels?
Patrick at PersonaPanels.com.
And you can reach me at ce@contentevolution.net. Again, that's ce@contentevolution.net. And thanks for having this conversation for the people who are listening in later, and do reach out, right? What we're doing is going to be a valuable addition to, the way that you get information, and it's a new way to get completed staff work, right? All the best. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.